We've talked about the server side aspect of this. Can you tell us a little bit about what folks should be thinking about in terms of the client side vulnerabilities and how significant that is?
That's been one of the big questions since this first broke. Everybody's focusing on the servers, and that's probably the place that they should be focusing first. The web servers, but where are all the clients, and are the clients vulnerable? And it turns out that some clients are vulnerable, and it's actually via drive-by. It's possible to exploit the clients. Now, what can you get out of the clients? You might be able to get passwords. You might be able to get session cookies. You're not going to probably be able to get something that is as useful long-term as on the server side. But the other problem is, and we talk about this on the program all the time, these embedded devices, how many TVs and home routers and Blu-ray players and refrigerators. I don't know refrigerators, but how many of these embedded devices have the vulnerable version installed and are never going to get updated? There's been some talk in the last. Initially, there was some talk that Android was immune to it, and then it turned out that Android 4.1, 4.0, and 4.1 were vulnerable. And so you need to be aware of patches coming out for those, patches for browsers that may have had the OpenSSL statically compiled in with this feature turned on. I don't think it's a huge problem. I don't see a lot of folks getting exploited by it and stealing a whole lot of information, but it is there. A lot of these vulnerable clients are going to remain vulnerable for a long time.
Well, it's a good point. We've talked many times, as you said, about the fact that there aren't good patching processes around some of these devices that we tend to not think about as computing devices. We tend to think of it as just an appliance, or you mentioned the television. I think perhaps on the good side here is that 99.9% of the traffic that's flowing through there is going to be downloaded video content, as opposed to a lot of correspondence or transactions that are taking place. I guess there would be kinds of things where you're looking up, perhaps going to YouTube or Netflix or something like that from a device, and there would be some transactions that you might consider to be sensitive, but hopefully a minimal amount.
To get back to the point of some of these vulnerable clients, Kevin Short, a friend of mine over at the Internet Storm Center, posted something, I think it was yesterday or maybe a couple days ago, of testing out some of the clients, things like wget and curl that guys like us use all the time from the command line to download it. And there were versions of the older versions, well, not even that old, but even relatively recent versions of wget and curl and Chrome, were vulnerable to it until you got them patched. So, like I said, the client side, I think, is unfortunately going to be hanging around for a long, long time.
Yeah, it's going to be hanging around for a while, no question about it. But on the good side, I have seen some applications that have been updated. On my mobile device, I've certainly seen some applications that have received updates, and I know for at least one of the ones that I saw over the weekend was related to patching this issue. So, hopefully the organizations that have taken some responsibility for security are going to, be pretty proactive and aggressive about getting these patches into place. And as you said, Jim, certainly there are going to be some things hanging out there.